Hello everyone, it's me again. You can't get rid of me today, can you? This time we're talking about Eliza Fletcher, the 34-year-old woman, elementary school teacher, wife and mother, who was murdered. Well, her autopsy report has come out today, and I'm going to go through the autopsy report. I'm going to go through it all. It's not for the faint-hearted. I'm not going to read it word for word, but I am going to go through the whole report, and it's shocking. It's shocking. I think it's useful to go through these reports to get the actual report and go through it. I did this for the Watts case, but if this is not for you, I understand. Right, just click out of this video and come back next time. Understand this is not for everybody. So, this is West Tennessee Regional Forensic Center, Office of the Medical Examiner. And the date of the autopsy examination was 9/6/22 at 8:30 hours. And the body was identified by fingerprints. So the pathological diagnosis, so the things wrong with the body. Gunshot wound to the head from an indeterminate range, which is interesting. So the gunshot entered from the back, so from the back right-hand side, and that injured the skull and the facial bones, and it exited left of the frontal bone, so it came out the front, so it went straight through. No projectile is recovered. So back to front, right to left. And then there was blunt force injuries. There was contusions to her right thigh, subcutaneous hemorrhage, so bleeding inside the leg on the right leg, and then maxillary fractures. So that was a broken jaw. So she'd been probably punched or kicked in the head. And she was in a moderate to advanced state of decomposition. So the cause of death was gunshot wound with blunt force trauma injury of the head. And the manner of death is homicide. So this was signed by Danielle Harrell, forensic pathologist, on Tuesday, 27th of September 2022. So this talks about the evidence of the injuries and the measurements of them. So basically, as we said, coming in from the back right-hand side, just straight through. Projectile travels through the cranial vault, exits through the left aspect of the frontal bone. And then we've got the blunt force injuries. 1/4 inch blue contusion is located on the lateral aspect of the right thigh. 1.5 inch blue contusion located on the lateral aspect of the right thigh. Full body dissection shows subcutaneous hemorrhage on the anterior aspect of the right leg. And then we've got those injuries to the jaw. So at the time of the autopsy, the body is in a moderate to advanced state of decomposition, with the majority of the skull and facial bones exposed. Large brown to black discoloration of the remaining tissue of the head, neck and upper aspects of the torso. The remaining aspects of the body have brown, red and slight green decoloration with marbling, skin slippage and bloating as photographed and diagrammed. You're not going to see any photographs. They haven't included the photographs, thankfully. So there's just extensive insect activity. She's been out there for several days. Not pleasant at all. So we're not going to go through the rest of that, but lots of insect activity. In an autopsy, the body is photographed and examined, clothed, literally as it comes in, and then the clothes are removed and a full external examination is undertaken. Before then, the internal examination, where each of the kind of organ systems are also examined. Because in some cases, right, you might get somebody who's been beaten up, let's say, but that didn't cause them to die. It was something else, something that you wouldn't see from an external examination that caused them to die. Cardiovascular system, so the heart is normal. Respiratory system, so the lungs normal for a decomposed body. Digestive system, you've got some absence due to insect activity. We find out what her last meal was. So the stomach contains approximately 500 millilitres of tan brown paste, associated partially digested food particles consisting of nuts, peanuts, almonds and cashews, green leafy material, small pale brown particles, possibly oats, purple fruit-like material, red thick material, possibly chewing gum, and a single slightly wavy black hair. So I think could be that's from the offender. You know, in the fight, she's been lashing out, bitten him, perhaps bitten him. Sounds to me like she had a smoothie before she set off. Like all of those things, kind of smoothie things that you put in, smoothies. But other than decompositional changes, that's all normal. Again, liver, normal. Kidneys, normal. So everything's normal. Spleen, endocrine system. Now, the hyoid bone in the neck is something that we look for to see if there's evidence of strangulation. The hyoid bone, the thyroid cartilage were processed and cleaned and show no other evidence of fracture. So not always during strangulation, but quite often the hyoid bone and the thyroid cartilage in the neck show some damage, sometimes fracture. Central nervous system, so the brain, we've got decomposition. Musculoskeletal system, well developed because she's a runner, so all good. Spine, all good, no injuries. So she was fit and strong. So then, additional procedures. Toxicology. I'm going to come to toxicology. The toxicology shocked me. This shocked me. Assay kit. Now, it says here that swabs were taken, placed into evidence. There's nothing stated here that anything untoward was found, if you know what I mean. So other than insect activity, things look normal. Doesn't mean she wasn't assayed. It just means she wasn't assayed to leave evidence, if you know what I mean. Okay, so radiographs were taken, blood spots taken, blood spots, cards, fingerprints, head hair, all of that stuff is taken into evidence. Okay, so this is the summary. 34-year-old woman identified as Eliza Fletcher was reportedly on a run and was the victim of an assault when she was placed into a vehicle on the morning of 09/02/2022. She was ultimately found outside of an abandoned house on 09/05/2022. So she was out there 3 days, you know, exposed to the elements, and just that's how quickly, when it's hot, decomposition can happen. It's nature, it's out in insect activity and all of that. As you're seeing, if you're reading this word for word, then you know, you're seeing all the things that I'm missing out. Okay, death was pronounced at the scene per report. A shell casing was recovered from the scene. Autopsy examination revealed a perforating gunshot wound of the head. A maxilla had an incomplete fracture consistent with blunt force injury to the face. Toxicology analysis performed on liver tissue and decompositional fluid revealed fentanyl and a metabolite norfentanyl. What? Based on currently known and available information, the cause of death is gunshot wound, blunt force trauma, injury of the head, and manner of death is homicide. So this is just the more details of the trauma, but we've already gone through all of that. And then toxicology report. They do tend to test in different places in the body. So liver tissue is, if the liver is still there, which it was in this case, or sometimes they'll use the spleen. They'll also take it from fluid. They can take it from the eye. And in both cases, fentanyl and norfentanyl. The fact that there's a metabolite, so what that means is as fentanyl's breaking down, it's creating other substances. So there's been time for the fentanyl to be partly metabolized. Eliza, being fit and strong and healthy, was she taking fentanyl of her own accord, or was she forced? Was she forced to take fentanyl? I think she was forced to take fentanyl. That's just my opinion. That's my opinion. Obviously, we don't know. Can't tell from this, but I was shocked. This was the thing that shocked me. This is why I go to the report. There was also caffeine, theobromine, which is it's a substance you find in tea. I think theobromine's in coffee as well. So she probably had a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. This is the analysis summary of all of the tests that were done. I think benzos, cannabinoids, fluoxetine was tested for. Interesting. But they weren't positive. And that's it. So I was shocked. I was shocked at the fentanyl. I've got to tell you guys, I was shocked at the fentanyl. Had he given her that to calm her down? Was he going to keep her for longer and panicked? I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. Let me know what you think, though. If you made it to the end, let me know what you think in the comments below. I know this stuff isn't pleasant, but this is part of crime. Homicide is nasty, and even though it's not nice, learning as much as we can about what happened to Eliza, I think, is important. Even though it's horrible to read. It's horrible to read in black and white. So guys, that's all for now. I'll see you very soon in the next video.